what I was willing to do at that time was the work.
Yeah.
I had nothing, but I was willing to do the work. I think a lot of people go in and they just build a funnel because someone else built a funnel.
Right.
Let's go hack this. Let's go hack that. If I were to give someone, if they're looking to build a funnel, it's like, I know it's not sexy. I know it's not exciting, but you got to understand exactly what who exactly you want to work with and what is their problem.
Yeah.
And if you do that, you can write copy. Oh, and I would 100% invest in a copywriter.
You're listening to the Radcast. If it's radical, we cover it. Here's your host, Ryan Alford.
Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to the latest edition of the Radcast. We've got a doctor in the house today, folks. Dr. Marketing, the marketing doctor. Nate Kennedy, what's up, brother?
How much, man? How you doing? Excited to be here.
Hey, man, when I said, all right, I got to get a title for you here, serial entrepreneur. I'm like, no, you said marketing doctor. I'm like, all right, I'm going to go down that path. I like it, man. I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you're in the studio.
Yeah, me too. I'm excited to be sitting in here and, face-to-face conversation.
I know. We have been getting back to more of these with, just the craziness of the world and people getting, out and about. No matter how you and I may feel about it, a lot of people have been, probably more stuck than we have. But it's cool to have you in. A little short drive from Charlotte, right?
Not too bad. Just Lake Norman all the way down. So
I know Lake Norman is beautiful. That's pretty. So you live on the lake?
Yeah, I'm excited for boating season here to start. Let all that pollen season pass, and then get the boat out. And
yep, we're on Lake Kiwi. We keep a boat at the marina there. So
that's over by Clemson.
Yeah.
So we just stayed there. We went down to a Clemson game and just stayed there recently.
Yeah, there's the lake right on the campus is Hartwell. Mm-hmm. And then Kiwi's like 7 minutes up, and it feeds Hartwell. Kiwi's, it's the one that feeds Hartwell, so it's a little prettier because it's got the mountain water and everything. It's like super clear. So we're at the marina there. So
nice.
Yeah, we keep a boat. It's a livable boat, so it's like a 2-bedroom, 2-bath. So
there you go.
I'll stop short of call. It says yacht on the side, but I'll stop short of that. I don't know if I'm flexing that hard.
What's the limit? Like 34 foot or something like that?
Makes it 40.
A yacht. Makes it a yacht, so you're good.
Yeah, it says it's a motor yacht, but this isn't Tiger Woods. It's nice. Don't get me wrong, but yeah, man, it's all good. So, Nate, let's tee things up for everyone. I know you're a serial entrepreneur, marketing guy. We were talking pre-episode, kind of the differences. I came up from the branding side. You've come up through, funnels and performance marketing. But let's give everybody a little bit of that background of you.
Ooh, man, how far do we want to go back?
Hey, man, as far as you want to take us, brother.
All right. So for me, it's, I grew up in an entrepreneurial family watching my dad start companies. So I think that's something I was always going to do. It's kind of built into me watching that and seeing it. And I ended up starting my first business when I got out of college, the first go at it. And it was marketing. The marketing piece we put out was a direct mail piece. I had no idea what I was doing, but we wrote letters to all these houses in the Outer Banks where I was living at the time and trying to do security for them because I was like, hey, the problem is no one's looking at their house, right? In the wintertime, someone's got to look after your house. So found the problem and wrote the marketing piece. Now that I understand the value, what that means. From there, ended up actually getting into the mortgage industry and real estate, did a bunch of that. 2008, built a multi-million-dollar company. At least I thought it was because on paper I looked awesome. But after the industry started just plummeting, that paper value just dropped. And that's when I learned that cash in the bank is more valuable than some other things, right? And values in a home that you can't extract. So lost everything, actually went bankrupt. And at that time, in 2006 is when I first started getting into internet marketing. But my mortgage company, real estate company, all that kind of, we went through that bankruptcy there. And that was in 2008. Fortunate enough to kind of start dabbling in internet marketing. I met a buddy of mine and he was writing his first book and he had been doing online marketing stuff and travel. And in 2005, he left Columbus, Ohio and started traveling around the world and selling products and doing real estate deals. So we met, wrote a book with him, started getting into marketing. He called me up one day and he was like, hey, I'm going to a Dan Kennedy Info Summit. You got to come with me. So I flew out to LA, went to that thing, and he was like, you're going to want to buy everything from everyone on that stage. I don't know if you've ever been to those events. Sure you have.
Yep.
And he was like, just buy one thing and execute.
Yeah.
I mean, thankful for my buddy Mark for doing that. reeling me in and saying, just get something and execute. Great lesson in that. But
I take it Dan's not related.
no, he's not.
He wasn't a brother from another?
No, but he is closer than you probably, right? So, we both are from Ohio.
Yeah.
And it is, so yeah, so I started getting into marketing, and then after that event, he called me up and he goes, hey, you need to, what you need to do is like, I'm doing a lead gen program. We're going to rotate leads. We're going to do some email drops. We're going to all get leads. We're going to be able to sell products on the back, send emails. And I was like, I did that. And I was like, holy smokes. I was like, I just made money sending emails.
Yep.
So it was game changing for me at that point. And then, fast forward, the bankruptcy happens. I'm like, man, I can reinvent myself now. I can do something different. I don't feel so wasn't so in that environment anymore where I had to be in the office and all that. So started doing online marketing stuff, got back into just flipping real estate and doing that kind of stuff, and started building internet marketing companies, and I built some smaller brands up and sold them over between 2009 and 2010. I ended up building up 7 different companies and selling them, which was kind of cool. Some small sales, one low end 7-figure, right?
Okay.
But one mostly smaller 6-figure sales, which
a
was
lot
still
of deals
fun.
in 1 year.
Yeah. Well, no, it was a 3-year period.
Okay.
I'm sorry. No, 2009 to 13.
Okay.
So
still seven deals in 4 years is pretty good.
So it was
2
all
years.
internet based, man. It's rapid speed, right? And what I learned during that process was I had to learn how to run paid traffic. I had to learn how to build funnels, and I was self-taught. So, luckily I had some great people in my corner, and I've never had a problem asking questions on how to do things. And so that parlayed in 13. In 2011, I started a company, Funnel Architects, before the funnel, branding thing became really big, right? With all these things that are out there.
Russell Brunson.
Yeah, I think that was, so I was 3 years ahead of him.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you what, he's done an amazing job building that system and that software and everything else. He solved the problem, right? I was doing it all manual. He created the solution.
Yeah.
But so, and then from there, people started hiring us to do stuff for them, right? Because we had funnels and paid traffic, and ended up having an agency for many years. And then in 2020, I decided, I was like, I got to get back to my roots. I want to wake up, send an email, and be done with my day. And so by May of 2020, I had launched a media company. And I also, in 2020, I had a bunch of clients. I basically said, I'm going to go to them and say, hey, look, we need to transition away and find you someone else to handle what we do. I'm going to start building our own brands. And so that's what we did, and that's been on a whirlwind since then, building our own brands. So it's not only, I would say, marketing. That's all the happy side of the stories, not the bad sides. We got plenty of roadblocks along the way, but maybe we'll get into those later. Come back to those.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's it. That's where I'm at today. So now I own a media company. I've got, we do traffic and conversion stuff as well for some people, and we're always trying to launch something new. So I got a coffee company we're trying to get off the ground, and that's pretty much it. Just trying to create brands that we can grow into 8-figure to 9-figure, hopefully, is the goal.
I like it. Definitely a serial entrepreneur. I'm hearing that a lot more than anything. I think you are the definition. I do want to ask, I heard media company a couple times, and I think media company is becoming a complicated name, so I'd love to know, for you, what your media company exactly means and kind of that interpretation.
Yeah. So for us, we have, I guess, what I labeled as a conservative media company, right?
Yep.
So we've identified a demographic, and we're building websites, news-based websites, for them to read content and access content that they want to read. And then what we do is we turn them into newsletter subscribers. And then from those newsletter subscribers, what we're doing is, we now are, so we have about 70 to 75 million impressions per month right now. So for me on the media side, it's I guess to boil it down, it's we own eyeballs, right?
Yep.
And we own the audiences. So with that, what we do then is people come to us and buy those impressions from us for different fees, right? Depending on where they're at or within the system. Are they in the newsletter? Are they on the website? Are they dedicated email? All these different things. So
if I own a conservative business, whether it's a T-shirt company or whatever, and my audience is conservative based, I can come to you and the media company and buy audience essentially.
Exactly.
Yep.
So you're going to go to Facebook and buy those audiences, but you're also most likely on the conservative side going to run into a couple roadblocks along the way. So
yeah,
we
exactly.
just, it's like best way is, Facebook's kind of a media company in itself too, with all the ad space they got, right? So that's really, we're just, don't have to say we're on a Facebook level, but we're a very small version of that with a very targeted audience, right?
Yeah, and I think that's really key. And for our audience, I'm glad you teed that up. Everyone that thinks about these, and they think about places like journals and magazines and all this stuff. But all of these people exist to do a couple of different things. One, collect data, build audience, or sell subscriptions, but a lot of it comes back to data now, right? It's all about and look, when you aggregate content that they're interested in and you give them value, they don't mind sharing that data, right? And I think that's what's key. And it sounds like you guys are kind of tapping into that conservative mindset.
Yeah, it's a larger audience, and they're an audience that are interested in multiple verticals, right? So we're not pigeonholed into like one small piece, right? So we've got tactical, survival, financial. There's gold out, like gold industry is very big. So there's all these different types of verticals that they're interested in. Coffee, shirts, right? So it doesn't limit us to only doing one thing, right?
Yeah, I like it. So I want to step back because you talked about, I want to talk about the learning lessons, I talk to a lot of entrepreneurs. It's kind of the nature of this show where we go and telling stories and personal brand stories. And look, it's so cool to be an entrepreneur now, at 21 and 20, and everybody wants to be an entrepreneur, own their own thing, which I don't throw shade on it as much as I think it's glamorized a bit,
Oh, yeah.
Let's talk about, your growth in that perspective. I mean, you talked about it with the real life bankruptcy. I mean, like nothing more real than that, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, when I lost everything, I'll tell you what, I was sitting in my condo that was being foreclosed on only because all my other houses were already disappeared. My car was repoed. My wife, bless her heart, she's still with me. So she saw me at my high, she saw me at my low, and now she sees us where we're at today. So her and I were actually literally like counting change. I don't know. I grew up in a house where my family we always had a change bucket, and that change bucket was like the money we would take on vacation every year. Like my dad would always start changing it. So I still to this day have like a change bucket. That's just one of those things from childhood, right?
If you came into the Alford house and you looked next to the stove, we have a glass jar about that tall with change in it. I can relate, brother. Still got it.
So we were rolling that change, literally rolling that change. And I saw a mouse run across the floor. I was like, oh, you got to be kidding me. So I was depressed for about 2 weeks, probably, just going through that process of mental failure. I failed. I'm never going to recover, and feeling sorry for myself and all that good stuff. And little did I know that was probably one of the easier moments I was going to go through, right? Looking back on it. And,
more money, more problems.
Yeah, exactly.
When you don't have money, it's funny though.
Yeah.
You only have one problem. When you don't have money. I mean, I'm simplifying it, but I think you know what I'm saying.
It's true. You got one problem on your mind.
Yeah, because
right?
you're getting out of that hole.
Yeah.
And then once you get out of the hole and you get somewhere, then you got all these other things, right?
Oh, yeah. Bigger problems produces more money, though, too,
exactly.
Right? Solve bigger problems.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, I went through that. That was one of probably my first real, hardship, right? Going through that and then figuring out I had to rebuild. Like, I had no choice. It was like, I got to do something. I'm not going to sit here and wallow in my misery. It's you move forward or you stay where you're at. And I think that's one thing, entrepreneurs, as you talk about, that it's glamorized, but what I was willing to do at that time was the work. Yeah. I had nothing, but I was willing to do the work. And I knew that there were a lot of people who weren't willing to, a lot of people get into it and they got this idea and they're excited about being an entrepreneur, building a business, and they get in and they're like, uh-oh, I got to do this, I got to do this, I got to do this. Like, the list goes on and on and on, right? So I think entrepreneurship's great, but you got to be willing to work and you got to be competitive at the end of the day too, because it's a game. Business is just a game. So, so that was one hardship. The next hardship was through all of that, the bankruptcy and losing real estate and everything else, I went through, and I've always been very hesitant over the years to tell this story, and I've just recently started opening up about it because it was a tough one. I traveled around, got back, and on my doorstep in North Carolina, so I lost my real estate license too, right? During that process, I lost it because I made a mistake. And then I got made an example of. If I would have had money to hire an attorney, I probably still would have my mortgage license, but everything works out how it's supposed to work out. So I'm happy for that.
Yep.
And I co-brokered a deal and paid a little too much to the other company. And because I did that, they were like, "Oh, give us your license," right? So I'm like, "All right, so I can't be in the mortgage space anymore. So let's go and reinvent."
Yep.
And I ended up later down the road, after this, a couple years later, they come back. They go, on my doorstep is that same commissioner of bank and an FBI agent. And I'm like,
wow.
"Oh, what is this?" I'm like, "Can I help you?" And he was like, "Oh," the guy said his name. I was like, "I know exactly who you are. Why are you here?" I got it. I just instantly went on attack mode.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Well, here's my attorney's info," and I get it off my doorstep and slam the door in his face. And that did not go well over for me. So
it rarely. I mean, it's funny.
But I was so mad, and I was like, I just finally got out of all this stuff, and now I'm back in it. And I'm like,
but you know what I've learned? Like, I want to hear the rest of the story. I know, but I think it's a good learning lesson and a good point. What I've learned, and I'm you and I are a lot alike, I think, and both entrepreneurs, probably pretty base level. But when we get hot, we get hot. And what I've learned, though, is rarely, even when you feel like you're in the right, even when you feel like, okay, you've paid your dues or you've done whatever, it just rarely goes well for you or as good as it could have when you kind of lose your shit. You know what I mean? Like, even if, like, you feel like you got all your ducks in a row, you've done what you're supposed to do, and, like, you know, you want to just tell it like it is, and you're ready to let that out, and you want to let that frustration go, it seems to always put you in more of a deficit than maybe you were to begin with.
100%, and that's exactly where the story goes too. So
yeah, every time I'm like, damn it! Like I dug the hole deeper than it had to be.
Yeah, I'm a pretty even keel guy. Like one of my clients years ago, he would get so mad at me because we'd have a huge win, and I just be like, "Awesome, man, we did what we were supposed to do." He's like, "Are you not excited?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm excited." Like, next, let's go.
I think as an entrepreneur, you can't get too high and you can't get too low. I think the best ones have a little bit of, I don't know, I don't want to say you're flat line, but it's just if you go too far on either level, it just doesn't seem to work.
It's a roller coaster, right?
It
Emotional roller coaster gets super tough, and you just beat yourself up mentally because you're so high one day, and the next day you're in the dumps.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you gotta be even keel for sure.
Yeah,
it helps to be.
It
At
does.
least control it.
Yes,
control it.
That's right.
So yeah. So anyways, that story ended up with going through a couple year like legal battle, and the FBI switched over basically because they knew there was nothing there, but they had to start there on the criminal side, and then they went to the civil side over to the DOJ. And basically, when it all came down to it, my attorney, they said, "Hey, we can find you millions of dollars right now, but we'll settle instead." And I told my attorney, I was like, "Well, let's fight them." I was like, I want to fight. He goes, "You can't fight." He goes, you can pay me to fight, but you're not going to win because you're fighting them with they're using your money to fight you.
Yeah, your tax dollars.
And he goes, "I recommend that you just settle and be done with it." And so supposedly they're going to fine me millions of dollars. And instead it was a $75,000 fine. So it just ended up being a financial shakedown in my opinion. But so I had a couple of years of that process going on while trying to build my companies and doing all this other stuff. So I couldn't be too high. I couldn't be too low, So having a lot of success on the business side. So here's what it was. They actually said, "Hey, I did this whole video, right? This marketing video called the Billionaire Boy for this real estate product piece that we were launching." Mm-hmm. And the Billionaire Boy, it's like his little kid, and he's walking around, he's talking how he's a billionaire. And my buddy owned like a 16,000 square foot house. So we shot some of the video there. We had him looking at houses. Like it was just this like comic video, right? Mm-hmm. And they went into that video and said, "We see that you're making tons of money because of this video." And I was like, that's just a joke. It's spoof
parody.
Video. It's a parody.
Yeah, right.
And so that's actually what YouTube video.
That's what sparked it?
That's what sparked it, yeah.
That's crazy. Oh, the whole FBI.
Well, I
thing,
think
that?
all of it. I think that was already there, but they brought that up in the meetings, right? And saying, "Well, you have this video, so we know you've got money, and it's this and this," and it's like,
Oh my god.
so it was a process. But hey, I mean, at the end of the day, it's part of life.
Yeah.
I think that's maybe an extreme example. If you're an entrepreneur and you're building a business, hopefully you never go through something like that because it is a challenge. It's not a lot of fun, but it's the war stories, right? It's the battle wounds we get.
Yeah, and if I try not to harp on this too much because I think I start to sound like like you know it all or something. But it's like the scars do make you better. I mean, you learn something, and I don't know, if you aren't challenged, you aren't growing. They say, there's no growth in the easiness. Yeah. I don't know if you found that true.
Oh, 100%. I mean, if you're not growing and not learning, one of our core values in my company is growth. You know, like you got to be getting better.
Yeah.
Whether it be professionally and personally.
So talk to me. It's always fascinated me. We talked about this a little bit, the brand versus performance marketing. And I kind of came up through that brand lens and bigger campaigns, and you self-taught performance marketing. Now the marketing doctor.
They might stick.
I like that. I like that. The MD. But talk to me about the fundamentals of funnel building and stuff like that. I just find it fascinating. I think our audience does because it's still highly relevant with building leads and those kind of things. Like when you're talking about it or you give advice about it, I mean, what are just some of the cores of performance marketing?
Yeah, I think the performance marketing is you really got to re-engineer what you want. So I think a lot of people go in and they just build a funnel because someone else built a funnel.
Right.
Let's go hack this. Let's go hack that.
Yep.
And so I try and stress right out of the front, like, what do you want out of the business? Do you want an automated delivery? You want to be able to run traffic, just generate sales? Or do you want to do coaching? Do you want to do mastermind? Like, what's your high ticket end going to be? Because your margins are going to be slim if you don't have something bigger on the back, right? So it's trying to figure out, like, what do you want out of the business?
Yep.
Because some people, they want to build a coaching funnel and they love coaching. They love training. They love having that, that environment.
Yep.
And so that model's a lot different because you're charging more money.
Yep.
As opposed to maybe you're selling a $97 training course, right? So I think for me, the number one thing is like, what do you ultimately want out of the business, and what's the lifestyle you want, and how does your business fit? Because then you can design the funnel and the system all around that lifestyle that you want.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of times people just go out there and say, hey, this guy's got a funnel. It looks like he's killing it because he's running ads. So I'm going to go ahead and just do the same thing.
Yeah.
And the biggest challenge is, I think that's the biggest challenge why there's so many people who dive in and fizzle out so fast.
Mm-hmm.
Also be ready to spend money and lose money.
Yeah.
I don't know if that makes anyone feel good.
No, it doesn't.
It's true.
But it's like that in everything. It's even like that on the branding side. And it's not on the branding side, though. I don't call it lost money. I call it investment.
Yeah.
Because you're building awareness.
Yeah.
And even on the performance marketing side, if you plan to stick with it, if like you're going to be a coach or you're going to be selling courses or going to be doing something, you plan to do it for the next 5, 10, 15 years or whatever, then every ad is building an impression.
100%.
Yeah. And that's always been the balance for me with like, okay, we all want leads, we all want sales now. And certainly if you're a coach, every dollar you spend, you need to be trying to get ROA, which I understand. But it's also like, but if people don't know who you are, and why are they going to buy from you? And so it's like, how do you balance the brand versus the performance? It's always been fascinating to me.
Well, I think when you're there, it all comes down to performance, right? Because you can build your brand in the performance. No one knows you, but they got to know you.
Yeah.
Eventually.
Yeah.
And so I think you're speaking heavier on that. You're speaking heavier to their problem.
Yeah.
Because you can see I'm sure people, I know people, they can go, a buddy of mine just made a post recently and did a whole yacht trip, filled up a yacht trip, did like $100,000 from one Instagram post because he is invested in that brand and people want to be around him.
Yep.
And then there's also, but at the same time, before all that, he was doing, more performance, like paying to get people into his system, into his funnel to follow up. And then that brand was built over time.
Yeah.
So for me on performance side, if I were to give someone, if they're looking to build a funnel, it's like, I know it's not sexy. I know it's not exciting, but you got to understand exactly what who exactly you want to work with and what is their problem.
Yeah.
And if you do that, you can write copy. Oh, and I would 100% invest in a copywriter. Everybody thinks they're a good copywriter. Everybody I ever talk, oh, I could write copy. No, you can't.
Yeah.
I was like, there's a reason copywriters get paid big money, because they're really, really good at what they do. But if you pay a copywriter, or when you pay a copywriter, just make sure you know who you want to attract.
Yeah.
Because I built a business one time through a funnel, and I found that I ended up attracting all the wrong people.
Yeah.
And we were generating sales and everything else, but I wasn't enjoying the conversations and the issues with the business, because it wasn't people that I wanted attracted in that model, right? Yeah. So you can get off track very quick too. So.
Yeah, and then there's a disconnect. Like once you start delivering maybe the product or the service, it's like it may not boil itself up to the forefront beginning, but getting repeat business or the next round. Okay, if it was a mismatch, right?
Yep.
You kind of get off the wrong foot. So talk to me about the here and the now, and the kind of like the businesses that you're what's today look like? What are we up to?
Oh man, I'm hanging out here recording podcast.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Well, I think you've bought and sold businesses. It sounds like that's still part of the plan, but what all's kind of in the day-to-day life now of where you want to take things?
Yeah, my goal a few years back, I decided I started focusing on becoming a better leader.
Yeah.
Because for entrepreneurs, like, you're either in the trenches and in the grind, or you're becoming a better leader to help people with you build and grow. So a big challenge I had in my agency was I was a hired gun. People were hiring me, not my company. So on Saturdays, I'm getting a phone call, or if I had my account manager call them, they're like, well, no, we want to talk to Nate. So even though they could have done the same thing. So I knew going out of it, like that's because I didn't do a good job leading and growing those people. So my big focus, day to day, is improving my leadership skills to help, build great people. Like, I want to build up awesome people within our companies and help them get better, help them produce impact. So I think day to day wise, that's what I'm spending my time on. That's what my goal is. Company wise, on the marketing front, I'm just trying to build bigger audiences, more media properties, bigger audiences, because it's, there's so much value. And if you can own the eyeballs, there's value.
What do you think about what's going on, back to that with building audience, building that, and you've smart owning and buying, and those of you listening out there, you got to have your own first party data. You got to build your own audience, because leaning on the Facebooks of the world, as we talked about, but I just don't see that getting better. What's going on with some of the social platforms and some of the, the ability to kind of own your audience, because let's face it, it's owned land versus rented land is what I call it. Yeah. When you own your own site and own data, and media companies, you own it, when you're on social and other platforms, you're renting, and you just never know when the close sign's going to
like real life first metaverse.
Sort of. Yeah, I know, but it's just targeting's gotten a lot harder on the social platforms, hasn't it?
Yeah, it has, which is targeting's got way harder. So you got to have your message dialed in.
Yeah.
Know who you're trying to attract, right, and let your ad and copy and all that do the heavy lifting. But I agree with you. It's getting harder. It's getting harder. It's getting more expensive, but people should still do it and use it, right?
Yeah,
you just got to be a better marketer and continuously improve. But more importantly, you got to add other channels. And if you own the audience, so the reason for me that's big on that is because if my Facebook ad account goes down or my Google ad account goes down, I still have over 2.5 million people I can send an email to in day one and generate revenue, right? So if you have an email list, you might only have 1,000 people on your email list or 500 people on your email list. But if you communicate, you're like, I'm not going to mail them because they don't, I haven't emailed them before. Email them. Do it right now. Like, stop now and go do it, because you're going to generate traction and revenue.
Yeah,
by doing it. And
so I know you're a big email fan.
Oh yeah.
I was waiting for you to tee that one up. Okay, people out there listening, I think they go, email's been around for, I just delete the emails. That's not true, because a lot of money is being generated every day from email. I know you're a big fan of it. What's your perspective on email marketing?
I think it's a must.
Yeah.
For online companies. It's an absolute must. It allows you to do a couple things. If you're a coach or consultant or product owner, whatever that may be, if you have an email, you can send an email and pre-launch a product. You can send an email and test a message to see if, hey, did this message work? If it did, all right, well, let me go put some money towards it on ads, right? So there's a lot of things that you can do with an email list, but you're always going to be able to communicate, and you're going to be able to communicate and consistently with them, stay first of mind. Not everyone buys right out of the gate too. So they might subscribe and then buy a year later. And my big lesson on this was when I started growing an email list in 2006 and kind of understanding the power of it over that time, was I still have people from stuff I was doing in 2009 that are still around, that message me. Oh, Nate, good. I noticed you got this new thing going on. That's awesome, right? So I don't email nearly as much as I used to that list. I used to email every single day, and I'm working on getting back to it, but we got a lot going on, so I haven't. So there's my excuse.
Yeah.
But there is it's one of those things where they may come on or your list 1 year and buy 2 years down the road from you.
Yeah.
But if you're communicating and staying in touch, they're just waiting for the right time, right? And it's a way to bond. And people want to do business. We all know everyone wants to do business with people they know, like, and trust. And email allows you to build that bond.
What's the talk to me about lead magnets? Like, what do you see as in this day and age where people have kind of been bombarded and different things like that? And obviously having a media entity and newsletter and all that is certainly one of them. I don't want to steal your thunder there, but what does it take to get an email these days?
So we do stuff a little different.
Yeah.
For me, I kind of got away from lead magnets, and so what we do is what we call the one-step funnel.
Okay.
So we've just rebranded a squeeze page.
So,
anyways,
one-step funnel trademark. The marketing doctor. Is that noted? You got that noted, Nick? Got that down.
Well, what we do is polls, right? So our goal is we want to go to a hyperactive audience, or not hyperactive, but a larger audience that's passionate about something.
Okay.
And whatever that passion is. And then we do polls, and we like to get them to vote yes or no. And then we send them the results in email. So we like to do stuff along those lines and come up with the right phrases and ways to do that, because it's more engaging. Because once you get them on the email list, the problem with lead magnets themselves is so many people are doing them. So as soon as they opt in, there's fatigue, and people opt in and then they don't go, and you're like, oh, I sent it you an email. Then they never go check it because they want it on the page there. Mm-hmm. Right. And they only opted in because they needed that. So you're getting a lot of bad email addresses. They didn't opt in because they want to hear from you. Now, granted, the polls, one of the things the poll solves for us is people really want to know if they're right. Right. People want to be right. And so whether they vote yes or no, or whatever the vote is, they want to understand that answer. So
are you doing these polls like within like the media platforms you have?
Mm-hmm. Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So that's why we do larger audiences, though.
Yep.
And then you can sift and sort them and push them where they need to go through different engagement, right? But the biggest thing is when you get an opt-in is get them engaged on email. A lot of times people just send one email and then never mail again. Like, you got to really get them engaged.
Yeah.
Because clicks matter, right, in email.
So we do a lot of personal branding at the agency. I have a lot of guests on that have personal brands and leverage it. What's the Nate Kennedy personal brand? Like, when you think about yourself, and maybe it's what you're hoping to convey, what you convey. Like, and one, I'd love to hear your perspective on personal branding, overall. And then two, what you feel like yours is.
Man, I think, personal brand is a must, I think, these days. And even company brands are a must, right? For long term. And it just depends how you grow it. I think, for me, at the end, my goal, I guess, I don't know what the brand will be. I'm a family guy, right? Like, big thing for me was, faith and family is always first. I'm definitely unapologetically American, I've got not hiding that. Love me some America and love me some freedom.
Yep.
And, and I think on the marketing side, man, I just, brand side, I design campaigns that make it rain, so it's one of those maybe.
Yeah.
As for personal brand, I'm hoping I can get some insight from you because you're the expert. I know how to build and generate leads and you make money out of thin air through marketing campaigns. But when it comes to the personal brand, I'm really going down that avenue these days. And I think time will tell. I just think, just being myself.
Yep.
Showing the stuff I do with my family. I'm into sports. So, like a lot of my analogies, I'm coaching my son and his teams and stuff. And my daughter wants nothing to do with sports. So she loves horseback riding. So it's like just being there for that. And I think it's, those are some of the big things like, me as a person, faith, family, that kind of stuff. And I think I want to inspire entrepreneurs, right? To not have to take the hard way, not have to make the mistakes. That's, that I made.
I think you've got it pretty nailed. I mean, your personal brand is, I'm distilling this now, is amplification of your reputation and your thought leadership, and you just described, faith, family, things are important to you, and freedom and liberty and, conservative media, which, all that plays together. And personal brand is just the amplification of that, the circle of influence growing. And because at the end of the day, everyone has a story, everyone has a reputation. And when you're wanting to activate that for the good of others, you see, I've been having this debate. Christopher Lochhead, who's a genius in marketing and branding, he's someone I look up to, written books. He designs categories. He believes, which is true, that in marketing, the way to break through is not to come into a category that has a bunch of players and try to compete and be better. You create a new category, which is pretty brilliant and it makes sense. It's difficult to do. But he hates personal branding, and he calls it the disease of me. But here's the thing. I disagree with him all the time because I think personal branding is the opportunity to amplify the good and the reputation and the inspiration that human beings can be to other human beings. And I think that's where it starts. And so, you find your categories, but I think, you trying to be an inspiration to other entrepreneurs, if people don't know that, then you can't help but so many people. And so it has to be amplified. It's just like running an ad for a funnel or for a business or anything else. If I'm trying to sell widgets, I need more people to see it more often, and I need to motivate them to make a buy. If I'm trying to inspire others, I need other people to know who I am and to know my story, and we need amplification of that so that it happens. And I think that's, that's the 80,000 foot.
I like it. Right?
Yeah.
So I got it nailed. I'm good. But so I think that's I'm an introvert.
Yeah.
Like I always have been. I like being behind the scenes, which is probably why I really enjoyed the agency and being the hired gun and not the guy in front. And so it took me a long time to start getting out in front of the camera. And what really kind of pushed me was, what legacy am I leaving? And I think if I've had the ability to have all these experiences, and a good buddy of mine's really kind of helped pull me out of this. Like, look, man, you've got some crazy stories. You've done some amazing things, because we in ourselves are very, like, I find, like, and I'm sure you're the same way. Like, you do something, to us, it's normal. There's other people looking in, they're like, holy smokes, how did that happen? Or how'd you do that? Or, and so I don't know that I'm doing my legacy a justice by not sharing. Yeah. And I think, and like you just said, we have to amplify it so we can impact more people.
That's right.
And, I might not, and one thing, there's a guy in my house, the guy in our neighborhood that started a painting company, a young guy, 23, 22, something like that. He was in our house for something. I gave him my book that I wrote, and I just, hey man, here's a copy. And he read it. He shot me a message the other day. He's like, thank you so much for giving me that book. He goes, I just did, he's like, February is always our worst month every year. And he's new. It was like his second or third year. And he goes, and we just had our best month ever. And he was like, we did 140,000 in revenue. And he was so stoked. And I was like, I need more. I want more of that. Right. I want that impact to inspire people to do more. Right. And do the work and do more.
Yeah. And that's what people get so stuck on. They're like, they think they're going to be judged, with personal branding, or they think like, we're all shy, or whether you're an introvert or not. Like, it's not easy putting yourself out there like you're doing on this show. Like, and everybody kind of gets, hung up on all that stuff. But the only way, once you start feeling the impact, like, I'll tell my wife I have this story because I've been building my personal brand for like the last 6 or 7 years. And, she didn't get it at first. And then I started reading her like some of the DMs that I was getting, and she's like, okay, I get it now, like that feedback, and it wasn't, oh man, you're so successful, congratulations. It was, hey man, you really inspired me with this or that or the other. And
I heard you here and this changed, which is awesome.
I know, it is awesome. So what's NateKennedy.com, right?
Yep.
What are we trying to get done? I know you're trying to buy some businesses, you're transacting and things like that. What else can we tell the audience about what you're, if they want to?
I think, for us, growth through leverage.
Yeah.
So got the knowledge, got the experience, got the team, and add more consistently to it. And it's, one thing that's been exciting to me is, last 6 months, last quarter of last year and then this quarter, because it's not April yet. So Q4 and Q1, each we've acquired companies. So that's exciting to acquire companies within the verticals that we're in.
Yep.
To be able to, and then I've also done 2 partnership deals, which is exciting to me to be able to bring some money and knowledge into other companies that we know we can help and help them grow and help them get over those hurdles and grow. So that's really kind of the stuff that I'm most excited about going forward, I would say.
What's some of the media company? What's the media websites and stuff like that?
AmericanConservatives.com is one.
Okay.
Modern Patriots is another one that we've got some plans for. We got right now it's content, but we're going to grow it into some e-com stuff. Liberty Coffee is something we're working on right now. We're making coffee great again. So coffee that's so right, nothing's left. So
I like it. I like it.
So we are. I'm excited about those things. Really just taking all this experience that we've had from over the years and just leading a great team to help us grow these companies. So
yeah,
I can't do it all myself, and I think that's the biggest challenge is if you're in the trenches as an entrepreneur and you're in the trenches doing all the work and you're trying to run 3 companies, it's never going to work. But
never.
If you're going to run multiple companies, you got to put the right people in place to run them. And I think that's a big learning lessons I've learned over the last couple of years to help that.
You think, and we could have spent the whole podcast, and we're not a politics podcast, but is it gonna ever get any better? Like, are we ever gonna find this common ground again, or is it just gonna be hard right and hard left for till the end of days here?
So I think if what's hard right and hard left is what you watch.
Yeah,
I think in real world,
it's a little more than I agree.
I think you got center right, center left, and people that are all agree that freedom is a good thing. So, it's funny. I was interviewing a guy yesterday about got to come in and do some content and brand management, and he was. I make it very clear we are a conservative company, Christian values. These are the brands we work on, right?
Yeah.
Only because it is so polarizing for some people.
Yeah.
And I at least want them to know what they're walking into. I don't want someone to come in and go, I completely disagree with everything that's being said here, so I don't like it here. I don't want that because I want people to want to come in and can thrive.
Yeah.
And so I just make that known. And the guy was like, I got no problem with it. He goes, I'm libertarian left. I was like, that's cool. I was like, to each their own,
Yeah, right.
So, but I think that, I don't know about, the libertarians maybe could take off if they had a better name. But so I don't know. I think most people are in a center, and I think, but the media doesn't want you to see that, right?
Yeah.
Because then we get along.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, when was the last time you walked down the street and someone was like screaming at you?
Yeah.
Or,
No, I know. And it's also, I was watching Tucker Carlson last night and Kid Rock, he did an interview. Oh, nice. And so that's what's interesting is conservatives a little edgier than it used to be. Mm-hmm. It used to be, button collars, all that. Now, and I know that's cliche, but I feel like there's I don't know, Andy Frisella and all that crowd. And hey, he probably consider himself more in the middle too. He wasn't, I don't know if he goes,
I would call him the Freedom Party. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah. If you look at Bill Maher, right? He came out recently, he was like, the liberal party's not what it used to be. Yeah. Even that's changed. And so it's, you even hear him. So it's, I think eventually there's the pendulum swings, right? In everything you do. So I got hope.
Me as well. Well, cool. Nate, where can everybody keep up with all things? I think we mentioned your website, natekennedy.com.
Yep.
Anywhere else?
Yeah.
Instagram?
The best place, natekennedy.com. And then all my social handles. Instagram is probably where I'm most active.
Yeah.
And that's Nate Kennedy, MD.
Okay.
So Nate Kennedy, Marketing Doctor. That'll get you there. So
Great. I really appreciate you coming on the show.
I appreciate you having me. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
It's
man.
been fun.
It was fun. Hey, guys, go follow Nate Kennedy. I like this guy. Hey, conservative or not, it doesn't matter. We all need to get along and be in the middle a little bit. And you know what? You might just learn something from him. Go check him out on Instagram, Nate Kennedy, MD. Hey, you know where we're at. We're at theradcast.com. Search for all our content. Search for Nate Kennedy. You'll find all the highlight clips from today. You know where I'm at. I'm at Ryan Alford on all the platforms. We'll see you next time on the Radcast.